Welcome back. I am your host. I am attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Before we go on, can we do full financial recovery again?
Full financial recovery.
Because that is what Opem Tax Resolution aims for.
It's true.
It's full financial recovery.
It's true.
From whatever issues the IRS or any other government entity is seeking out on you. Does that make sense?
Jimmy has come a long way in this show.
I have drank.
He even says things like entity.
I drank Malort last night, and I am really holding myself together right now.
You're doing a good job. You're not really holding yourself together very well, but okay.
I am appalled, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get the hotline?
No.
Call the hotline. Tell them how good I'm doing.
312-262-5614. And remember, you can reserve your hot dog for the Joe Walsh event.
Also, too, that hotline is for...
Because I'm going to have 200 hot dogs. There's going to be 1,000 people there. And I guarantee there's going to be a line around the block. I guarantee it. It's just the way it works. I've done a lot of these hot dog events, okay? So I know how this works.
The hot in hotline stands for reserve your hot dog.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Debbie, everybody! Debbie! Well, now
if I can stop
to
laughing.
The blog segment where we're going to talk about what
we're going to do our intro.
I forget we always. It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
I gotta say, every time because we do video these things and I have them on and I watch this whenever when we get them, I watch them. I love the Raven Bird music. I love it. I really do.
He was in Godzilla. Did you know that?
I think you say that every week.
It's big and it's terrifying. I'm going to find out more Godzilla.
Raymond Burr or the Godzilla?
Look, this is a family show.
Of them
all right?
Are big and terrifying.
Oh, my Lord.
He was also in one of my favorite movies, The Rear Window. Did you ever see that? Very good movie. Just watched it not too long ago.
Just woof. Out of the gate.
That was a good one.
I know.
Okay, so
that's one of your favorite movies of all time.
That's one of my favorite movies. Yes, I just watched it again. It's a classic, Jim. Have you ever seen it?
I wanted to do Death of a Salesman.
Alfred Hitchcock.
They had me be Captain Kangaroo.
Alfred Hitchcock, okay? The master of movie making. He really is.
I've seen it. It's very good.
It's kind of hokey. It is kind of hokey. When he blinds him with the flashes. Okay, that's a little hokey.
Don't give it away. Spoiler alert.
From a 1954 movie. I could.
Spoiler.
Okay, so Jimmy's tapping me and saying, "Get on with the show."
Well, you know what? From now on, I'm not going to tap you. Hey, let's get back on track.
I know this show we have getting distracted.
We are getting distracted.
We're not focused like we should
no.
be. And I'm going to get a little bit unfocused here too because I want to talk about abatement, first time abatement, and because I had a client just recently, and they came in and they owed about almost $30,000. Half of it, almost half, were penalties, and so I'm going to talk about that in just a minute.
Was it cascading issues?
No, it wasn't a cascading issue. Actually, that's where this is where it makes the first that one-time penalty abatement a little bit different than everything else because it's really about one time, right? That I've always done it on. I've always done it on time. I always filed my tax on time. I always paid on time.
Or as they say in Spanish, uno time.
I'm not sure what they say in Spanish. But anyway, that's what this gentleman, that's my client, he always paid on time. Always, always, always. And he got one job one time and they put him on a 1099 and he made some money and he didn't know what to do because he had never been on a 1099, so he didn't file his tax return. But then the next year he went back to a W-2, so he was paying his taxes again. So it was really only 1 year, and he didn't file because he didn't know what to do. And so they filed for him what they call an SFR, a substitute for return. And so again they hit him. We went back and we did his return because we saved him about $3,000, $2,000 just in the return. And he said, well, that doesn't really help me. It's only $2,000. I owed him almost $30,000, and now I still owe him almost $30,000, just a little less. But what he didn't realize is that that's just step one. Step one is redoing the amended return. Step two will be going back and abating the penalties, which will be almost $10,000. So then we'll get it down, and that will be the real savings. So if you add that to the to the savings that we did by amending the tax return also, then that's almost, that's like $13,000, $14,000, about half of what he owed. So that's going to be a huge benefit for him. And what this is it's called the one-time abatement. And again, I mentioned it, that if you have to have been penalty free. So I always filed on time, always paid on time for at least the 3 years before that year. Now you can only use it once. There's other ways to abate penalties, and right, most people who have IRS problems, the big thing is the penalties and the interest, because it's usually some years ago and it adds up. The penalties are really based on how much you owe. So the more I owe, the bigger the penalties. And then if it's been a while, it's been 5 years or something, they've hit me with interest for all that time, but also on the penalties. So if you can get rid of the penalties, you reduce the interest tremendously also. But I wanted to kind of stop this for a minute because I wanted to talk about something else just briefly, and that because on this show we talk a lot about these organizations, the IRS, obviously, and also the TSA.
We've never talked about.
We talked about the TSA in here a couple last week, I think, and the week before, and how I was getting all on this whole thing up at the airlines where everybody's standing in line. I was talking to a guy who's a limo driver. He says he drives people there. They're getting there at 4 o'clock. There's already a line out the door at 4 o'clock in the morning. And they have a 6 o'clock flight, and they're missing their flight at 6 o'clock. They're getting there before 4 o'clock, and they're missing their flight. And this, to me, is ridiculous. But there's a great article, and it's in what they call the 10th Amendment Center.com, 10th Amendment Center.com, and it's written by none other than Ron Paul. And I always have to, I kind of chuckle about Ron Paul because he's kind of kooky. But my kids love Ron Paul.
They love him.
And they love Rand Paul. They really do. And, that's when they always say, well, Dad, the big government, we need these laws. But he has got this great article about these three things. And just the title is Get Rid of the IRS, the TSA, and the VA. And people might say, well, wait a minute, don't we need the Veterans Administration? They haven't helped one vet, right? These hospitals.
I could talk about
these
that.
hospitals.
I don't know if I could talk about that because
you've heard the news. Look at the news.
Heard the news.
Look at the news about the VA hospitals and how people are dying, before they get help because it's taken so long. We have all these hospitals. Send them to a private hospital. There's no sense. There's no reason why we need this. These VA hospitals that just help the VA when we have plenty of good hospitals where they'll get better care faster. It's like everything else with the government, right? If they take it over, watch out. Right, it's going to get slow. It's going to be big, and it's going to be bureaucratic, and it's not going to be effective. And that's just the way it is. The only kind of counter to that is the IRS. They're effective, right? They're big and they're cumbersome. And a lot of people say, well, why does it take so long to solve these problems? Because it's the IRS. Okay, they're not hurrying about anything. It's like turning a battleship around. It takes some time to turn a battleship around, but once they set their sights on you, once they get it turned around and they focus after you, watch out.
There's no more battleships anymore.
Well, there still is, but I understand what you're saying.
I know, I'm joking, but
I know.
I'm just throwing that in there. It's an uncompass mentis.
So anyway,
did you see what I did there?
Yes.
Yeah, I used that word.
If true, and I'm just going to read this because if Congress truly wanted to protect the airline passengers, it would shut down the TSA and let airlines determine how best to protect their passengers. Private businesses have a greater incentive than government bureaucrats to protect the customers and their property without stripping their customers of their dignity. And I agree with that. So that's I got off a little bit on the tangent, but I also wanted, so don't forget, you got the one-time abatement. If you have penalties, then you need to call me, and I can help you with that. Right? That's
right. That's right. If you have any issues like that, the Opem Tax Resolution can help you solve these issues. That's what they're here for. They're a local Chicago company to help local Chicago people. So give them a call, 312-664-6649. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, he went off on a tangent there a little bit, but if we don't answer your question, give him a call, 312-664-6649, or call the hotline, and we could play this, and we could play it on the radio, your question, and we will answer it. Okay? Oh, wow. I like our go-off music.
It's our little bumper music.
That's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned.
312-664-6649.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. After the commercial break, more IRS Radio coming at you, dog.